Welcome to Movie Men with Greg and Mr. B. I am your host, Greg. Sitting across from me is...
Mr. B.
What up, dude?
Not much.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, like every week. How are you?
I'm fantastico like every week myself, bromo. Well, we have a very special episode. I know last week that we had said we were going to do The Shallows, but as the week was going on, I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, you know, there'd be a really good movie that we should pair this movie with, and I think the appropriate movie should be Deep Blue Sea. What do you think about that?
Yes, I completely agree. You know, either that or the original Disney movie Cinderella.
I do think that would be better.
That makes a lot of sense?
I think it makes more sense.
I think we'll scratch those two movies and let's just do Cinderella.
Let's just do A Bug's Life. But anyways, yeah, those are the two movies we're going to do. So surprise everybody. Anybody who follows us on Instagram or Twitter should already know that I already put up a picture of The Shallows and Deep Blue Sea, so the surprise was ruined. But for anybody else, here we go. Let's do this. Let's jump right into it, man.
Let's dive right in, if you will.
Pun intended. Hey, man, but don't judge me for anything I say tonight. I might be kind of shallow.
Last week I went swimming in the deep blue sea.
All right, well, you ready to jump right into The Shallows?
Let's do it.
All right. The Shallows came out in 2016. This movie came out this year. This movie was directed by, okay, and I'm going to butcher this name, but I'm going to do my best. The spelling is Jaume. Jaume? Or if it's like Hame, Hameha.
Wame? Colette Sarah?
Kwame Colette Sarah?
Why do I feel like that if somebody walked up to me on a beach to introduce me to this guy, they would introduce him as Huam? That's what it looks like to me.
It looks like Wame.
Wame?
Like, it kind of looks like the spelling of Juan, but then there's an M and then an E, so it's like Wame.
You know what? I suppose that it also could be Joom or Woom. Or, I don't know. Dude,
I've
crazy.
Never
seen this name before in my life.
Anyways, sorry if we completely butchered that.
Yeah.
So we're just in a overall collective. What are we going to say? Huame? What do you think? How do we want to pronounce this on our show?
I think let's call him Jim.
Jim Colette-Sarah. Whatever. Anyways, this guy is actually known for 4 movies that are pretty popular, I would say. One movie is called Unknown. That movie came out in 2011. That Liam Neeson flick.
Yep.
Nonstop, 2014. That Liam Neeson flick. He actually did Run All Night as well. That other Liam Neeson flick. He also did, and this is actually, this movie always skips my mind when I think about it. But the movie Orphan.
Yeah.
Do you remember that movie?
Totally good movie.
Oh, man. I'm not even going to give away any part of that, but like I love the twist on that movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. It's insanely creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that part. That came out in 2009. He also did House of Wax.
Yes.
Didn't that have Chad Michael Murray in it?
It did. I actually like that movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. Minus the Paris Hilton part.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I don't like the movie because of the actors or actresses, even though I do like Alicia Cuthbert. And I guess Chad Michael Murray is all right as well.
Yeah, he was pretty cool in it.
But the reason I love that movie is because of the music and the scenery and the story, and it's all just so
how it's
creepy.
Like a twin. Or
yeah,
whatever.
it's just so creepy.
That was a good movie. That was 2008.
But anyway, back to Jim.
Back to Jim Colette-Sarah. Those are about the 5 movies that I recognize him from. The person who wrote this movie is Anthony Jaswinski.
Can people just have normal names?
I guess not. Not in the movie biz.
Anthony Jaswinski.
Winsky?
Haswinski.
Haswinski. Is it Winsky?
Jaswinski.
Is there an S before the K-I?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I wrote it wrong.
Jaswinski.
Oh, Anthony Jaswinski.
There we go.
He did, and I thought this was particularly funny to you. He did the movie called Christy. That's your fiance's name?
It is indeed.
2014. He also did a movie called Vanishing on 7th Street, 2010. I've heard of Christy. It's on Netflix, I believe. I've never watched it, but it's on Netflix, I'm sure. And then Vanishing on 7th Street. Never heard of it, but he wrote on those. The Shallow stars Blake Lively, who she plays Nancy. Oscar Giannata, he plays Carlos. And then this name, I'm going to butcher this name too. Angelo Josue Lozano Corzo.
Dude, that's probably like right on the money. Like seriously, you did. I think that sounds pretty good.
Thank you. And they just have him labeled in the movie as Surfer.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen this movie, which I'm hoping if you're listening to this, you have seen this movie. There's pretty much only 3 people in the movie almost the whole time, and it's Blake Lively, and it's the other 2 guys, like the 2 surfer guys that are already there when she arrives.
Right. Yes.
Right. But they're so irrelevant almost to the story that one of them is titled Surfer in this movie.
And don't forget about who plays the seagull in the movie, and that is Sully Steven Seagull.
Is that his actual name? They actually named him in the movie?
Yeah. It says that he's an actor, and he's known for The Shallows.
No.
Dude, I'm looking at it right now.
Holy crap.
Sully Seagull.
Sully Seagull.
He's an actor bird. Dude, I guess that's a thing nowadays. Like, animals are stepping it up.
I thought they were all CGI'd now.
No, bro. That actor deserves an Oscar nomination for this role.
That was a pretty good bird. Actually, like, my heart was filling for that bird for a while. I actually cared more if the bird survived than Blake Lively.
Dude, me too. I was just going to say that. Is it wrong that I didn't really care if I saw her get eaten, but as long as the bird flew away and was fine?
Yeah. When she fixed the bird, I was like, oh, God, thank you.
Dude,
but her, go away.
Yeah. I don't want to give too much away, but like when she finally pushes the bird away, I was just like, oh, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I better not see something I think I might see right now.
So the plot of this film goes as so. A mere 200 yards from the shore, surfer Nancy is attacked by a great white shark, with her short journey to safety becoming the ultimate contest of wills.
Yes.
That pretty much explains the whole movie.
Yeah, she's pretty lively in this movie.
Okay, I got a question, though, for you. So you know that she's...
Ridiculous fake laugh, but all right.
You know that she's Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Yes, I did know that.
But you know what I don't get, and maybe it's completely just because it's Hollywood and they want to keep their reputation or whatever. Why don't they take their husband's last name? Doesn't that bother you in a way?
I mean, some of them do. It's just I think that when they reach a certain point of fame and success,
yeah,
it would kind of that's like the equivalent kind of. I mean, not saying that we're like super successful or famous, but if we like, let's say like in a year. And if our podcast is doing much better or my YouTube channel is doing better and we decided to change the name of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
That would confuse people. They might lose track of us. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what I appreciated, though, about Courtney Cox when David Arquette and her got married?
Yeah.
She changed it to Courtney Cox Arquette.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I know Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
You know, and the Arquette is just
and
to show
she could have did Blake Lively Reynolds. I mean, that's not that bad. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess Ryan Reynolds is just like, you know, like if you don't want to, it's all good. I don't care. I'm Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean?
So I want to ask you, Mr. B, what did you think about The Shallows?
I loved it, dude.
You loved it?
Yeah. I saw it once before in theaters. And when we decided to talk about it tonight, I watched it again a few days ago.
Oh, cool.
And I absolutely loved it even more the second time. It's just so intense. And I just loved it. I'm going to go into detail about specific things, but to just answer your question and just to kind of like, you know, straight to the point kind of way, I loved it. What did you think about it?
I really liked it as well. I actually remember wanting to see it in the theaters when it was in the theaters, but I just never got around to seeing it, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm very picky about what I see in the theaters now.
Yeah.
Because it's getting so freaking expensive, you know?
Totally.
It's like you really got to like pick the movies that are like worth the like $12.50 or something. Yeah. And then if you see it in 3D, it's like $14. And then if you see it in IMAX, it's like $1,000. And
honestly, when I go to see a movie in theaters, I love going to the theaters and I want to see many movies in theaters. And I'd say probably 90% of the time when I go to the theater, I walk out of the movie that I went to go see really liking it.
Oh, wow.
And so
I'm the opposite.
To me, the price of admission is totally worth it. And I don't ever really worry about the price of the ticket because when I go to the theater, I have such a good time. I love sitting there. I love getting the popcorn if I can afford it. Usually I just smuggle in candy from the gas station.
Across the street from the theater.
Yeah. And but I just love the whole experience. It's just so much fun. But yeah, this one was just as awesome in theaters.
Oh, you saw it in the theaters?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Man, I didn't get to.
Super intense.
I bet, especially on a big screen.
Yeah,
that
dude.
sounds cool, man. So I recently just saw it, probably a month ago.
For the first
time ever, yeah. Because I remember saying in one of our episodes, you mentioned The Shallows or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to see that, and I'll get it when it comes out to rent or something. I don't know if it's out yet, and I guess it was out or something. So I rented it like that next week, and I watched it, and so I'm glad we got to do an episode on this week.
I can't wait till we get to the spoilers and I can talk about the ending. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah, for sure. But before we get into that, let's get into our trivia time.
Oh, sorry. We don't do it for that.
Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
For trivia, you go first.
All right. Mine's pretty fast.
Let's hear it. Too fast.
Okay. Let me slow it down. This movie was originally titled In the Deep.
In the Deep.
Yeah, not The Shallows. And I'm glad it's not called In the Deep. One, there's a movie already called Into the Deep. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like too similar in my opinion. People would probably get it mixed up. And two, I'm glad they call it The Shallows because this movie doesn't seem like it takes place like deep into the ocean. You know what I mean? Like everywhere she is, she can like see the shore. So she's kind of shallow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the majority of the movie, she spends the time on that rock thing.
Yeah.
And the whole time she's like close enough to shore to where like, you know, when that one dude that drunk guy was walking by and she was like, hey, and he's like waving to her. Like obviously like they can hear each other. Yeah. She's not that far away from the shore. So she's obviously not that deep. So I'm glad they did not title it In the Deep. It just kind of doesn't really make sense why they would do that.
Yeah. So, I'm totally glad they went with The Shallows. All right. So my little tidbit of information here is the shark in this movie is a female.
What?
Yeah. The shark is female. And actually great white sharks, the females are larger than the males.
That's probably what makes them so scary.
Yeah.
Or I mean in movies why they
I think this is the only movie that I know of at least that actually said whether or not the shark is a male or female.
I'm pretty sure actually Deep Blue Sea, they're females as well.
Are they? I don't recall.
It just seems like it's something playing in my mind. Like, yeah, it is.
I remember that they're tiger sharks for sure.
I thought they were great whites.
No, they're tiger sharks.
One of them's a great white.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, this is a perfect opportunity to comment and let us know.
Let us know. Hit us up on social media. Let us know in Deep Blue Sea, are they great whites that they're testing on?
Yeah, I know for sure that at least some of them are tiger sharks.
Yeah, I'm sure of that too.
But
there's like a big picture let's wait till we get into Deep Blue Sea to talk about all this, but there's a picture in the Deep Blue Sea pictures where there's like a giant shark in front of him while he's diving with them. And it looks like a great white. It doesn't look like anything but a great white. But who knows? We'll get more into that when it comes down to Deep Blue Sea. But yeah. I'm going to share something else about The Shallows.
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
This movie was shot in part off the Gold Coast of Australia. Other filming commenced in a giant swimming pool.
Interesting.
I'm actually not surprised to hear that because I've been you probably don't watch it, but have you watched Fear the Walking Dead?
No.
It's the spin-off to Walking Dead?
No, and not because I don't want to, just haven't gotten around to it.
You're not missing much. It's okay. It's not Walking Dead, I'll put it that way, but it's decent. But you know how after the show, if you remember, they have like the Talking Dead and stuff?
Yeah.
And they have all that with Chris Hardwick. Well, I remember them saying that Fear the Walking Dead takes place in the I think the second season or some of the second season. It takes place on a yacht in the ocean because they're driving or swimming. What do you call it? What would you call it? Driving a boat?
I don't know.
Interesting, huh? I never thought of that. They're taking a boat.
Yeah.
I guess you could say sailing. No, it's not sailing.
Oh, I got it. Floating.
They're drifting.
They're floating the boat. No, I think if it's got a motor, I'm pretty sure it's driving the boat.
Well, all right. Well, they're driving a boat to Mexico, and so
sailing a boat, maybe if it's a sailboat.
It's not a sail. It was a yacht. So
okay,
yachting. Clearly, we're not rich enough to own boats and know the difference.
Yeah.
But in that show, they're going to Mexico, and so obviously they're going across the ocean. And as they're going across the ocean, they have a lot of shots where you can see like the ocean, way out, right? But the whole time they're filming, they're in water on an actual yacht, but they're in like one of the rooms in like Hollywood, you know? And what they do is they have this giant like body of water that they built, and then there's green screen behind it, and they green screen the rest of the water behind the actual water.
Okay.
That's what makes it look like you can see so far out on the ocean. Really, they're probably just in a room with a big square cutout of water. They did the same thing for Titanic, all that stuff.
Titanic is like they actually used models too. It's crazy.
Model what?
Like models, like, you know, when you go to like a Hobby Lobby, or like not a Hobby Lobby, but like,
Yeah, Michael's Arts and Crafts.
yeah,
Hobby
where
Lobby.
where you can buy like a model.
Yeah.
That's what they used those.
Really?
Yeah. Not for, I know, not for like all of it, but obviously, but
Oh,
some of it, yes.
interesting. So what do you have another fun fact?
Yes, I do. Blake Lively did all of her own stunts in this movie. Did you know that?
So she did a lot of lying on a rock.
Yeah, but you know what?
Swimming?
I mean, the shark they used was real, bro. I mean, she went up against a real shark. No, I'm just kidding.
No, okay, well, so the surfing scenes, that was actually her surfing?
I was just going to comment on that. I could actually tell. I'm not trying to pick this apart at all, but when I was watching it, I could tell that they like superimposed her face, like CGI, onto a surfer's like head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could tell. And so, no, I don't think that she did the surfing. I don't know if that would qualify as stunts.
Well, if it's anything that like could potentially cause harm, I would consider that a stunt.
Yeah, I suppose, but because I noticed that they superimposed her face, that I don't think that she did her own surfing. From what I know, surfing is difficult, and you can't just like learn how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like super quickly, you know?
It takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one that I want to share with you, and I thought you would appreciate this because I know you really like this movie a lot.
Okay.
Blake Lively was partly inspired by her husband Ryan Reynolds' work in the similarly minimalist film Buried from 2010,
Oh, yes.
stating, "That was one of the reasons why I wanted to take on this movie so much, because I know how tough that was for him and how rewarding it was."
Dude, we saw that together. Don't you remember?
saw it before me, but then brought it over to my house to watch it with me.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I've been searching for that movie for a long time to see if it's on Netflix or something.
That movie's
Because
fantastic.
I want my wife to watch it. It is fantastic. The
Dude,
whole movie.
but at the same time, like, I almost don't want to watch it again just because how intense it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember just like, oh my gosh, that movie just drove me crazy. But I have another super interesting piece of information here.
What's that?
Steven Seagal, the actor who plays the bird in the movie, his name in real life is Sully, and I think I already shared that a little while ago. He lives to this day in a seagull sanctuary in Australia.
No way.
Yeah, so he's an actual bird actor. Can we just screw the rest of this movie and talk about Sully the seagull and how amazing he was in this film?
He was amazing in
And
this
I
film.
hope that this boosts his career.
I think it will.
I'm just kidding anyway, but yeah.
So how you feel about fun facts? You ready to get into our top 3?
I actually have one more little piece of trivia that I would like to share. The shark in this movie, if you've seen it, it kind of, when you think about this, it's a little surprising. The shark is only on the screen for 4 minutes all put together. 4 minutes in the whole movie.
Isn't
That's
Jaws something like 2 minutes?
it. Jaws?
Yeah. For the whole movie?
Probably less than that. Like,
Yeah.
I think it only actually shows the shark in Jaws, like, at the end, right?
Well, see, would you consider like the fins, like screen time?
No.
Yeah, they're actually like the body and the face of Bruce the shark. That's his name in the movie, which was also, I wanted to comment on when you said that the female sharks are bigger, and that's why they probably use females. I was like, yeah, but I was thinking in Jaws they used a male. I mean, it wasn't even a real shark, but
So can you imagine what Bruce's wife looks like? Oh my
she's
god.
probably a heifer.
Because the shark in Jaws was freaking huge.
20-footer.
25.
25. 25-footer.
25. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. The shark only has 4 minutes of screen time, and it kind of seems like while you're watching it that the shark is in it more, but
No.
I guess she's not. But anyway, I'm done with my trivia. You have anything else?
No, I'm ready to get into it.
Let's do it.
What time is it? It's time for our...
Top 3.
All right, and Mr. B was so kind to let me go first, so I will share my number 3. My number 3 is the scene where Nancy tries to escape and outsmart the shark, and she notices that all these jellyfish are coming up from the bottom, and sharks get hurt on jellyfish.
Yes.
And so she just like pimp statuses and just jumps off of the rock and swims through jellyfish, just getting freaking effed up all over her skin, getting like jellyfish stings and burns or whatever they're called all over her body. And I love the imagery that they showed when they were, you know, when she was getting stung.
Super awesome.
How it clung onto her like her shoulder and then like let go, and you just see the imprint, and then you just see her screaming underwater.
Yeah.
And then the shark like goes to attack her and goes through the field of jellyfish and gets like hecka stung up, and then it's just like and like has to like swim away, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, I love that part.
Yeah.
Not just like for how cool it looked or it was that she like outsmarted the shark and actually like pulled it off, but just like the amount of CGI that was used, and it was used so nice.
Yeah.
It was like those jellyfish were so beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to like an aquarium and actually seen a jellyfish?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Have you been there?
No, not yet.
It's amazing, by the way. And I went there, and they have this whole section just for different types of jellyfish that are there that they have. Dude, up close, those things are freaking weird looking, man. Yeah, they're crazy looking, and it's just unbelievable, the designs and the colors that they are.
I've heard that their sting is like unbelievably painful, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm very thankful that I've never had to feel that. But yeah, I've heard the same thing, and
I think the more morbid, curious part of myself kind of wants to know what that sting feels like, because you're not gonna die. You know what I mean?
No way.
Wouldn't it be kind of cool to just? I guess not, but just I don't know. I kind of want to know what the jellyfish sting feels like, and just stick my foot on it or something like that. Like I don't know, maybe my hand maybe.
I just can't imagine what it must feel like though to be stung by a jellyfish. Like that must be so painful, like you were saying. But
yeah, maybe someday we'll both get stung by jellyfish at the same time.
Let's do it together. Let's just go together. What is that? What's that part in that movie, Grandma's Boy? Remember his friend where he's like something about the loony bin?
Oh yeah.
Remember?
We'll go to the loony bin together, man. I don't give a fuck.
Dante.
Yeah.
That movie's funny. But yeah, no, I really love that. That's why that was my number 3, because there was a lot of good factors to that. There was like an element of suspense. It kept you on your seat because you don't know if she's gonna pull it off or not. You don't know if it's actually gonna if sharks actually will get phased by that, or if you know like the adrenaline of the shark and how fast it's going would catch up to her, and you don't know where she's gonna go, if she's gonna live. Dude, super intense and suspenseful, and then very beautiful imagery. Man, good, very good. I like that part.
Yes.
What's your number 3, man?
My number 3 is probably the pacing of the first attack. You don't know when it's coming, and she goes surfing, and she meets up with those 2 guys, and at first she's like doesn't want to surf with them. And then like some music starts playing, and then it shows her surfing with them. Yeah. And then they're surfing, and you're like, oh my God, is one of these people, one of these 2 guys? Because obviously she's not going to get eaten right away at least.
Yeah.
And then so you're assuming or thinking is one of these guys just going to get chomped like any minute now? And they don't. And then it shows her stop surfing and take a break, and then go to the beach and eat an apple, and she's just chilling. You're just like. Now I don't know when this is going to happen. I'm confused. I thought that she was going to get attacked. What the hell?
Yeah, and you think one of the dudes is about to get eaten.
Yeah, and then they don't. And then they get off their surfboards and come to shore, and they drive away. And then just the pacing of the first attack I thought was just really, really good. It took a long time, but at the same time, not too long to where I was bored. What the hell? When's this going to start up? You know what I mean? I think it happened at the perfect time. And, I just love not only the pacing of that, but just the pacing of everything, the pacing of the whole movie. I just really liked it. So what is your number 2?
I want to comment on your number 3.
Okay.
I agree with what you're saying about the pacing of it because, and I know people are going to hate me for this, but I'm not a huge fan of Jaws, the original, for 2 reasons. 1, the pacing issues. And then 2, like we were saying, we don't even know if the shark got even 2 minutes of full screen time. And I know it's kind of like the Godzilla movie where it's the point of it is you're not really supposed to see Godzilla till the end, kind of. And so the same thing goes for Jaws, kind of you're supposed to be suspenseful and like what's going on, where's the shark, who's going to get attacked, and then you finally see it. It makes it worth it when you see it. I get all that stuff. I get it why they would do that. But I'm also paying money because I want to see a freaking shark. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want to have 2 minutes of screen time of a shark. I don't want to have 5 minutes of Godzilla time. I want to see the darn monster. You know what I'm
Imagine
saying?
people that feel just the way you do in the 70s when they went to the theater to go see it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they're sitting in the theater and it's showing him with his family, like the whole freaking movie. Like, I want to comment on that as well. You have an excellent point there. In Jaws, I do think Jaws is a good movie. I think it's a great movie,
Yeah.
but only because it's a classic. And honestly, you're so right. It's just boring. A lot, like the whole movie is, the movie's too long. Let's just keep it real and admit that. The movie's too long. It didn't need to be as long as it is. And it's just, it takes forever for them to finally get out on the boat and go handle the shark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours. The movie's, I think, longer than 2 hours. And it takes at least 2 hours for them to finally go out on the boat. I mean, yeah, there's attacks and stuff, but it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you compare it to Deep Blue Sea, like, good Lord, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Deep Blue Sea blows it out of the water as far as action and, like, getting your money's worth when you want to go see a shark flick.
Yeah, exactly.
know?
That's exactly why I thought we should do that one with this movie as well.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is I agree with you. The Shallows is a good pace. Simple enough. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not, like you said, it's not too long before you see the shark, which I thought the first time you see the shark was very creative. You see him in the wave,
Yeah.
or her, I guess. In
Well,
the
you
wave.
you kind of, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it. Well, I mean, if you're listening up to this point, you probably don't care. But
Our podcast is a spoiler-full podcast,
Yeah.
unless it's a brand new movie. Just telling you.
yeah. But at the very beginning, when the little boy's watching the GoPro footage and it shows like the guy fall off a surfboard and then it shows the shark just like totally like just like go for the camera and it's like, oh shit. When you see
Yeah.
that in theaters, dude, that scared the shit out of me.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, that's my number 2. My number 2, I wrote Shark on GoPro.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, when I was that's the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the opening scene, is where the boy's walking down the beach and he finds the GoPro and he knows how to like rewind it and stuff somehow. And somehow he knows how to rewind it and he's like watching, and it always freaks me out whenever you see like you're above water and then it dips underwater for
I
a
hate
second and then
that.
above water and then dips under, because you never know when the next time you go down underwater if there's going to be something there that wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the type of suspense that I really, really appreciate about those paranormal activity movies.
Yeah.
Even though people like are so harsh on those movies, dude, they're my favorite scary movies. Honestly, some of them. I mean, I said Signs was my favorite scary movie, but
Yeah.
those are like the ones I look forward to seeing the most. I've seen every one because I love that whole thing, and they do it with every movie, but where they have like 5 or 6 different camera angles that they set up for whatever reason, and it just pans back and forth through camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
Yeah.
And it'll do that like 2 or 3 times, and then like on the third go around, now there's like something standing in the other room.
Yeah.
And then it pans away. Now it's in the other room, or you see something fall off or whatever. Dude, just that anticipation of like, what am I going to see?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what I'm about to expect, but I know something's about to be crazy.
Yep.
That's the same feeling that I got with The Shallows. That very first scene, that's when I knew I was like invested already.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, because not only was it like bone chilling and it really like, whoa, suspenseful, but also, dude, that shark looked real, dude. And I'm so tired of like shark movies where the CGI shark just does not even look like scary because it looks so CGI'd.
Yeah.
You know, this movie did a spectacular job. I thought this was the most realistic shark I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, I would totally agree with you. Yes. I actually, that's funny that you say that. When I was watching it a few days ago, I thought that while watching it. One of the scenes when the shark pops out, I just, when I saw that, I was just like, holy shit, that looks
Yeah.
like a real damn shark. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah, so that's why I said the GoPro part was my number 2, because I enjoyed it. It was like from the very beginning, it was suspenseful. You didn't know what you were about to see every time it went underwater.
Yeah.
And then it just, when it went underwater, all of a sudden you just see that great white, or you know, it like eats the camera, and that just, you just see it from mouth open going straight for the camera, and like
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. Like, whoa, okay, I'm down. All right, I'm awake. Let's do this, right?
Yeah.
I liked it. That's my number 2. So, Mr. B, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is easily, I need to put all of these together and talk about them all, because I don't want to like skip anything. All the suspense The suspense in this movie is killer. It's so fantastic. From the first time that she gets attacked and the shark for some reason lets her go, and she's like, oh, she realizes, oh my God, he let me go. Like she let me go.
Yeah.
I have an opportunity. And she starts swimming like mad crazy to that rock. Or no, not even to the rock first. She swims to the whale carcass, remember? That was just so suspenseful. And it's just so realistic as well. I think I want to throw realistic in with this number 2.
Yeah.
The movie seemed like all of this could happen. You know what I mean? And if it did happen, this is how you'd really act. And Blake Lively's performance was spectacular. So good, and she did a really good job. Actually, this movie is what really... I've always been somewhat of a fan of her, but she's never been one of my favorite actresses. Mm-hmm. But after watching this movie, she's a really, really good actress.
Yeah.
And the suspense, though, let me get back to that. When she's on top of the whale, and then when the shark hits the whale, and it just collides into the whale, and it just like goes flying, and she jumps off the whale and swims to the... I was just on the edge of my seat. Dude, imagine seeing this in theater.
Yeah.
It was crazy suspenseful. You know what I mean?
Sad that I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
And all the suspense when she's like timing the shark, seeing how much time she has to like go swim out and get the GoPro.
She times it when it's circling around the whale.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, 40 seconds or something. And then when it goes, she's like, go,
yeah.
boom.
But the first time that she doesn't really know what she's doing and she sees her surfboard floating off in the distance, and she doesn't know if the shark is even still really out there, she decides to just like go for it. Dude, I have to honestly say right now that if this was me, I would have stayed on that rock and died on that rock. There's no effing way I would have got off that rock until the tide came in.
Oh, man, I'm just thinking about it. I just put myself in that position. I just like my stomach just turned.
Yeah, dude. Can you imagine that? I mean,
Yeah,
dude, like she took chances. Pfft, I would not leave that rock. I'd be like, okay, I'm getting sunburned all to hell, but that's a lot better than getting eaten by a fucking shark. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like the tide comes and like sweeps her off the rock, and then you're kind of forced to make a move.
That's the thing.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But let me get back though. When she's swimming towards the surfboard, she doesn't know. I think it's nighttime at this point, and she doesn't know if the shark is even still out there. And then all of a sudden, luckily, the fin pops up like in her line of sight towards the surfboard, and she just immediately is like shit and turns around and starts swimming back, you know what I mean, towards the rock, and barely makes it. And she jumps up on the rock, and you can just... Her acting was so damn good. Hats off to you, Blake Lively. I know that you're listening. And just when she jumps up on the rock, her pain, because her leg is effed up, and she just like put it through, like she was trying to like slowly swim out there because of her leg, you know.
And then on top of that, when she goes to get onto the rock, she steps on this coral.
Yeah, the fire coral.
Yeah, and it just like insanely destroys her foot at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, oh god.
It's like, how is she gonna do this, man?
But at the same time, like fire coral, like that would feel like a teddy bear compared to the thought of a great white getting a hold of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a question though. Maybe you can clarify this for me. How far do you really think that rock that she was on was from the shore?
Well, in the movie, she says it was 200 yards. And I think that looks about right.
You think so?
Yeah, it looked about 200 yards to me, and that's way too far.
Is it?
Yeah, way too far to chance.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how far does she have to swim to where the great white is, like, it's too shallow.
Yeah.
For the great white to catch her.
I think, dude, if I'm not mistaken, listeners, if you know the answer to this, we're not familiar with this, obviously, but I'm pretty sure that great whites or any shark, depending on their size, of course, can swim damn close to the shore, like within like 4 feet, like pretty much any amount of water that their body will fit in.
Really?
Yeah, they could even like touch the sand with the bottom of themselves. You know what I mean? Like their bellies, I guess you'd call it. But yeah, dude, they can go super shallow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And dude, like back to what I would do, like if it was me, I would not have left that rock.
F that.
And then when the water starts like getting onto the rock and the tide comes, I don't know what the hell I would have done, dude.
And that's another reason why you're saying like the whole suspense of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like what sucks is you kind of do think throughout the movie you're like, just stay on the rock, just stay on the rock. Mm-hmm. Somebody's gonna come surf.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking.
But then when, like you were saying, the tide is gonna eventually go over the rock, and she's freaking meat. Mm-hmm. She's ready to get eaten.
And I think that's exactly what happened. I don't think she would have left that rock. I think the reason why she left the rock and swam to that buoy is because the tide.
Yeah.
And she had to. I mean, what is she gonna do? Just wait there and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing, even though I probably wouldn't have made it because I'm not a freaking like hella athletic surfer chick. But I probably honestly would have died.
My number one is, you kind of mentioned this earlier. It's when the tide is getting high on the rock and she's laying there and the shark, for some reason, like jumps at her, like out of the water.
Yes.
And it goes to go like bite her.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have swore that was a real shark at
Dude,
that point.
yeah,
That's when
what
I
I'm
was
saying.
like, oh my gosh, this is the best looking shark I've ever seen in a movie. It's better. And you know, I always, till this movie, thought Jaws was the best looking shark. Even though it looks fake, at least it wasn't CGI'd.
Yeah.
It was a robot. So at least there was like, it could have been real skin and teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it does not look.
It doesn't look horrible, but.
It doesn't look like Sharknado status. You know what I mean? Where
Oh
it's
my
just
gosh.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
this movie, I was like, this is the best take on a CGI. Like, we're really doing good with CGI in 2016.
yeah.
You know, but I also thought that way back, and this is really funny. You remember that movie, the Christmas movie called The Polar Express with Tom Hanks?
Actually, dude, don't like freak out and tell me I need to go watch it.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
I haven't. I never wanted to. It looks boring. But in that movie, I remember when it came out, how real the CGI was. And I was like, I honestly remember thinking to myself, like, are they real?
Yeah.
Like, is that CGI or is that actually real? Dude, that movie was on ABC Family last night, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks worse than video games now. Like, the CGI is so bad, and I remember, like, not being able to tell if it was real or not.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering, like, is the shark going to be dated in the next 15 years?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Completely?
I don't think technology is going to ever stop. Dude, eventually you're going to just be able to, like, be in the movie. You know
They
what
already
I mean?
got the virtual reality headsets,
Yeah,
which
dude.
are nuts. But
Oh, my God.
But anyways, that's my number one. I loved that part when the shark jumps out, because like the whole time, yeah, it's scary when the fins are going around her, and it's scary when she jumps in the water and you see splashing because the shark is coming. You never know, and it's suspenseful. But when the shark pops out, one, I didn't know that was about to happen. Full on Jaws coming out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it looked really good. I love that part. It was really suspenseful and really good. So that's my number one. What's your number one, Mr. B?
My number one is easily the ending. When she's on the buoy and it's getting, like, messed up because the shark keeps, like, ramming it and shit.
Well, he's,
and,
like, biting it. He actually pops
Yeah.
out and is, like, chewing it up.
Yeah. And it's like a big steel buoy. We're not talking like a big plastic buoy out
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I really love is the part where she's got the flares in the gun. And she's like, this is like, I think this is direct homage to Jaws. This is like a direct respect to that movie at the end when Chief Brody has the rifle and he's like shooting and he's like, come on. He's like, show me the tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the shark's coming at him and he's like,
He's got the tank in his mouth.
yeah, and he fires and it explodes. Dude, this has got to be some kind of respect for that scene in that movie when she fires the flare and she drops the only F-bomb and that's allowed in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, what did she say?
She says, fuck you. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Because only at one F word is allowed in a
Yeah.
PG-13.
It was very Jaws-esque.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she shoots the shark, and then but first the shark like catches fire and like jumps out of the water, and it looks so freaking awesome. And then you're like, oh shit, she got him, it's done. And then he like lands in the water, obviously, and then just like all the flames go out, and he swims away. And like her reaction is your reaction. She says the words, oh shit. And then the shark jumps out at her and like just completely crashes the buoy and destroys it. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
It
I was like,
intense.
oh my gosh, what the hell is she going to do now? You know what I mean? And spoilers, mad spoilers right now. At the end, when she like cuts that chain, when she's under the water, like just in the nick of time, and it shows the shark like bank, and it shows the shark like totally just like turn, and the shark, she is just about to kill Blake Lively and eat her up, and she cuts the chain and it like sucks her down. I don't really understand how that happened.
Yeah, I
But-
didn't get it either, but that was dope.
Yeah, and it's like sucking her down hella far, and the shark is right behind her, like chasing her. Oh my god, dude!
And he's gaining on her too.
Yeah.
Like if she would have planned that wrong,
Yeah,
he
dude,
probably
like-
would have ate her before the chain got.
even
pulled
if
out.
the whole chain and that whole length was like 10 feet longer, done skis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was just awesome. Like this is the only part of the movie that I have to admit was not that realistic to me. But
Yeah.
But it was just so cool. And then she's like just about to get eaten, and then she like dodges out of the way, and the shark impales itself with the piece of wood in the bottom or whatever it is.
It was like the things that was holding the buoy down. It's like a bunch of steel rods.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it was like attached to like the cement block or whatever. But the shark was, or she was, I guess.
Yeah.
Was jacking up the buoy so bad that it was like pulling off like the cement pieces from the ground.
Oh, okay.
And that's why when he like hit it, she was holding the chain and it like hit the cement thing off. And I'm thinking the buoy started like flying away or whatever, and that's what pulled the chain down. That's the only thing I can think of.
I have to watch it one more time.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I have to pay more close
But
attention.
when the shark was hitting the buoy, it pulled the cement thing out, and then those iron rods were sticking out, and so she was flying straight down to the bottom. And then she like somehow dove out of the way, and the shark just smashed his face into the ground. And the steel rods went through the shark's head and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
That part was unrealistic, but it looked awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
Super awesome. All right, so you want to get into the ratings now?
I will rate this a 3. I give it a solid 3 because it wasn't the best movie I've seen. No doubt. Definitely not the best movie I've seen.
Right.
It was pretty suspenseful, but on a suspense scale, I've seen way better suspenseful movies. I gave it a 3 and not like a 1 or a 2 or something because, like I said, I'm praising the CGI shark. It was amazing. Amazing CGI, and the jellyfish were amazing CGI. I loved that. There were parts that, you know, a little unrealistic, like when the shark is basically like, I'm gonna get ya, and he's like chomping up a buoy. Never heard Animal Planet say that before.
Yeah, or a shark sticking around for days to try to get like one human on a rock.
I do know that sharks will travel like thousands of miles or something, like for a drop of blood or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah. I know that. I don't know the exact length, but they can smell it from like a mile away or something like that.
Yeah, but I've heard they will travel a far time to go get food, but I don't know how long they'll stick around for food. But especially when there's a giant whale carcass, you'd think they'd be eating that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just kind of like
why her?
Yeah.
You know, kind of like how in Jaws 2, like your dad died from being scared of the shark, and the shark is now trying to get revenge on us.
Yeah,
come on, don't do
I'm
that.
sure
The shark followed us all the way to the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's
that's number 3 though.
Jaws 4.
That's 4?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's Jaws the Revenge.
I thought that was 3. No, because Jaws 3D.
Jaws 3D is when they're in like
Jaws 4 the Revenge.
They're in like Marine World or something. They're in like that park.
Don't get me started on that shark.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to be 3G and it just 3G or 3D and it starts like zooming in at the screen and just like dumb.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I give it a 3 for those reasons. What do you rate it, man?
Honestly, I rated a 3.5.
Ooh.
Yeah, the reason why is because I really, really liked it. And this is definitely a movie. If I were to go to my buddy's house or anybody's house and they're like, hey, we're putting on The Shallows, I'd be like, hell yeah. Where's the popcorn? You know what I mean? Oh, I would watch this movie over and over again. I love this movie.
Oh.
And it's just this is my kind of movie. I love horror. I love suspense. And
would you call this a horror movie?
Definitely a suspense thriller.
It's suspense thriller, but would you call it horror?
No.
No.
But I love stuff like that, and I would definitely watch this movie again, and I will, for sure. Probably multiple more times.
Cool, man. Let's get into Deep Blue Sea. I'm really excited to talk about Deep Blue Sea.
Let's do it.
Deep Blue Sea came out in 1999. The director was Rennie Harlin. He did Die Hard 2. That movie was 1990. The Covenant, 2006. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
What about like the male
vampires?
No, they weren't vampires.
They weren't?
No, they had like powers.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And then like one of them, when they turn 18 on their birthday or something, like they inherit like all of these powers.
Yeah.
But then there's like the bad one, and they have that giant fight at the end. It was like a Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha fight, if you remember. That was 2006. And then he also did Exorcist: The Beginning. Do you remember that one? 2004.
I don't think I saw that movie.
Okay, I got a quick story about that one I want to share with you.
Okay.
I was 14 when that movie came out, so I was I think I was a freshman in high school, or the end of 8th grade or something. And I remember really, really wanting to see that movie, but nobody wanted to see it with me. Not because I was a loser or anything, but it was like late at night and I wanted to see a film, and it was in the theaters and I really wanted to see it. So my dad's ex-wife, my stepmom at the time, she was like, I like scary movies. I'll go with you, right? Uh-huh. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So like me and her went and we saw the movie, and I thought it was boring. I thought it like wasn't scary or anything, but I do remember at the end of that movie, there's like this woman that gets possessed, and when like the main guy goes to try and find like this kid or her or something, he finds her like in this cave. She's like hanging upside down on a crucifix or something, and she like does like the Matrix, but like upside down. So she's like, her head's facing downwards towards the ground, and she like breaks her back like upwards and is like looking at him. So her body does like an L or like a U kind of, and she's like, like freaky, and then she's like chasing him through her tunnel, and she's like hecka like Exorcist
scared the hell out of you.
It was so scary that when I left and we went home, I was too scared to go to sleep. I was like 14. And I was too scared to go to sleep. And I remember like telling my stepmom, like begging her, I'm like, hey, will you stay awake with me? I need to watch something funny. So I put on American Pie 2, and I watched that because I couldn't be by myself. Like, it scared me really bad for some reason.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that Rennie Harlan did that movie. I like that movie a lot. Deep Blue Sea was written by Duncan Kennedy, Donna Powers, and Wayne Powers. I'm assuming Donna and Wayne are husband and wife.
Or brother and sister.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Duncan Kennedy, when I looked up other things that he's been involved in, I couldn't really find anything. He hasn't really been involved in much, and not much that's known, at least. Donna and Wayne Powers, they worked on the same movies together, and the only movie I could say you could probably recognize the name of is The Italian Job from 2003.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only real thing I think that I was able to identify at all. This movie stars Thomas Jane, who plays Carter Blake, Saffron Burrows, she plays Dr. Susan McAllister, Samuel Jackson plays Russell Franklin, LL Cool J plays... They wrote him down as Preacher, but I think everybody kind of recognizes him more for, like, Chef.
Yeah.
I put it, like, for Chef. Mm-hmm. So LL Cool J plays the chef. We got Michael Rappaport, who plays Tom Scoggins, and we got Stalin Skarsgård, who plays Jim Whitlock.
Stellan Skarsgård. It's Stellan.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm a fan of him.
Oh.
I think he's a good actor, and yeah.
Oh, my bad then.
Stellan Skarsgård. I know that because I always thought his name was really cool.
It is. He plays Jim Whitlock. The plot of this movie: searching for a cure to Alzheimer's disease, a group of scientists on an isolated research facility become the bait as a trio of intelligent sharks fight back. Oof.
Yeah.
You know what's weird about that is that I've seen that movie a million times. And then it wasn't until the last time recently, about 2 or 3 years ago, that I saw it, that I actually realized what it was about. And it was about they're trying to cure Alzheimer's. Did you know that?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's the whole purpose of why Samuel L. Jackson is on that floating island laboratory thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why Dr. Susan McAllister is in the office meeting in the beginning,
right?
Because Samuel L. Jackson is funding them to do the research, but they haven't found like enough results yet.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'm not going to fund you. And she's like, please, like, blah, blah, blah. I need, because she has an accent, of course. But anyways, yeah, that's the whole purpose of that, is to cure Alzheimer's. And that's why they're testing on sharks. Why you can't test on something like fuzzy and cute, I don't know. You got to use it on man's biggest beast of the sea. Freaking A, dude. What did you think of this movie the first time you saw it?
The first time I watched Deep Blue Sea, I was, I think, like 11 or 12 when it came out. And I actually saw it with my mother in theaters.
I saw it with my mother.
Yeah, and I thought it was scary as hell. I thought it was the scariest movie I'd ever seen because sharks have always scared me. I think they're freaking terrifying beasts in the ocean.
Yeah.
And I knew what this movie was about. You know, I've always been a fan of movies. You know that. And when I went to go see this with my mom, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This movie's rated R. Like
I was 9.
It shows people get chomped up. You know, it's like this movie's hella scary.
Yeah.
Especially for an 11-year-old, 12-year-old. My God. But
right.
yeah. But yes, to answer your question, I loved it. I thought it was really good.
I was 9. I want to share something really interesting with you. I was 9 when this movie came out, and I saw it in the theaters as well. I actually saw it in the drive-ins with my mom and my brother and sister. This was the first rated R movie I've ever seen.
Really?
First rated R movie I went and saw.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I remember that I used to have like a journal. My mom got me a journal when I was in elementary school, and I tried to like write in it and stuff. And I remember after seeing that movie, I went in and I wrote in the journal about it. And I wrote like, I saw Deep Blue Sea tonight. This was the first rated R movie I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought that was like a fun fact I wanted to share.
Did it like blow your mind? Like did it?
Well, you know, I guess thinking about what a rated R movie was when you're 9, like I don't know what the difference is, why it was rated R. But now I know why. It's because there's a bunch of ripping people apart and stuff. Okay. It's not like there's a bunch of F-bombs or nudity.
Yeah.
It's just violence. Really, really violent. So that's why it's rated R. But that's besides the point. I just wanted to share that. I thought that was kind of interesting, as this was the first rated R movie I'd seen back in 99 when I was 9. Yeah. You want to get into our trivia time?
Sure. I got one I'd like to share.
Sure.
The 3 sharks in this movie, I think there could be more than 3, but I'm not sure. But the 3 sharks that I'm talking about, at least 3 of them are killed in the same manner as the shark in Jaws, the shark in Jaws 2, and the shark in Jaws 3D. And
how so?
One of them is electrocuted, one of them is incinerated, and one of them is blown up at the very end, the big-ass shark at the end. And that's how in Jaws 1, the shark is blown up. In Jaws 2, the shark is electrocuted. And in Jaws 3, the shark is incinerated.
Huh.
And, yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. A nice respectful thing that they did. They did that intentionally to show respect for Jaws, yeah.
They actually, and this is going to be my trivia I wanted to show you, but they also gave, I think, like another homage to Jaws by this. The license plate that was pulled from the shark's teeth in this movie is the same plate that was found in the belly of the tiger shark in Jaws.
I actually did know that. That's super awesome. I really
you knew that?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't know that, but I'm like, that's cool. You know, I feel like if I was a director, I would kind of try and do the same thing to the same level that they're doing. Like, you know, let's say I decided to do a boxing movie, right?
Yeah.
Say I love boxing. If I put a movie out, I gotta throw something like in about Rocky.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Because like, if let's just say I saw Rocky and that inspired me to want to be a director and like do my own boxing movie, and I finally got to do one. Dude, I would put a picture of like Rocky like in the bar or something that's in like my movie.
Totally.
You know, so or like I would have it take place somewhere that like Rocky mentioned in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'd have one of the characters named somebody, just something I could do in like an homage to that. You know, as like a kind of like respect.
Absolutely.
You know, pound the chest, respect. Dog.
All right, so I got one. In one of the scenes in this movie, Thomas Jane, who I think wants to go by Tom Jane now, I'm not really sure. He goes back and forth, I think. He had to swim alongside a real shark, like right next to it, a real shark. But he was only allowed to do this after he had completed all of his other scenes in the movie.
Oh.
Maybe because they were afraid that he might get killed. I don't really know why. It doesn't really elaborate any more on that, but I found that interesting. Like, why? Why was he not allowed to do it until all of his other scenes were done? Do you think it might have been for that purpose, in case the shark actually killed him?
Dude, it makes sense. This is what I think it is. Because, yeah, they had to do it last because if there was any chance on him getting injured, that could stop production.
Right.
So, yeah, but I don't think it's like, you know, if you get eaten alive, then, you know, it's bad for us. Like, I don't think it's that deep. You know what I'm saying? But, like, yeah, it's got to be for sure for a safety purpose.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, I mean, if you're just keeping it real, they're like, all right, well, we're going to have you do every other scene just in case the shark bites your head off or something like that.
That's interesting. I just wonder what scene it was.
I know.
I think I just mentioned this, dude. You know how I said how Titanic, they shot it like in a studio?
Yeah.
The water?
Mm-hmm.
This movie was actually shot in the same water pool that Titanic was shot in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So every time you see like an ocean establishment, that's the same water concoction thing they built up for the Titanic thing.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's called the Baja Complex.
Okay.
In case you ever need to tell somebody some fun facts about that. Baja Complex. Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I did not know that. I like that.
You got any others you want to share, or are you ready to get into our top 3?
I'm ready to get into the top 3.
You know what time it is? It's time for our
Top 3.
All right, so Mr. B, you're going to take it away.
Let's do it. My number 3 in this movie is quite easily the scene where Samuel L. Jackson, spoiler alert, the scene where Samuel L. Jackson gets jabber-jawed, freaking killed, just like, dude, so out of the blue. Imagine being 12 years old in the theater and then seeing Samuel L. Jackson, we're not going to fight anymore. We've got to, whatever he says, and all of a sudden the shark jumps out of the water and just grabs him, and you're just like, holy shit. I did not expect him to die, like, first.
Yeah.
First of all, like, not first. I know he didn't die first. I didn't expect him to die, first of all.
Yeah.
And it was just like, holy shit, that was surprising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like, totally gruesome. And then it just, like, drags him into the water, and then you show it shows the shark swim away with him in his mouth and just bite him into pieces, and another shark, like, bites him in half, and you're just like, holy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just killed off Sam Jackson. But yeah, dude, that scene was
That scene's nuts because it really was surprising.
Yeah.
You know, because you're in the middle of him, because they're all arguing like "f you" and this. Well, I don't think they're cussing, but they're like fighting. With
and
each
he's
other.
like about to give like a speech
because he's giving because the reason he's so famous and rich is because he was like in an avalanche.
Yeah.
And he survived.
Yeah.
After like heck of days or something.
Yeah.
Like frostbite or whatever. And so he's giving that speech where he's like, when we were out in the avalanche, like I don't know the words for word.
You think water moves fast? You should see ice. Or something
Yeah, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like referencing that he was in like an avalanche and he's been in things and they needed to stick together and stuff. That's why he's like, we're not gonna fight anymore.
I like how we both remember that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And we got her, brother. Boom! And then the shark comes on
Yeah.
and it like bends sideways, grabs him, pulls him underneath, and you're like, oh, dang!
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Exactly.
And it's so scary, and you're just like, whoa! I love that part.
Yeah.
My
And
number.
I'm sorry, just one more. Like everybody's reaction after he gets killed, they're just like
in shock.
Yeah, that really just happened.
Whoa! Is he? What? Yeah. What?
But sorry, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is when Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Jim Whitlock, when it's in the beginning of the movie. This is where it takes place.
Yeah.
All the events start right here. And it's when he's smoking a cigarette and they have the shark sedated and they have it like in these belts that's holding down like the shark, and it's like asleep, and the guy is smoking a cigarette and he's like talking to his girlfriend or whatever, and the shark like wakes up or something, and it, like in slow motion, it not too slow, but like somewhat slow motion, it like starts whipping back and forth, and it whips over and it like bites the doctor's arm off.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Or it goes really fast and bites his arm off and then like slowly like rips it off, and like you just see blood pouring all over the white floor, and it's like just mixed with water, so it's just spreading everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, like when that first happened, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you're like, dang, dude, that's why you don't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, dude.
They're going to target you, dude. Yeah, but like, oh man, when that thing woke up and it's just out of nowhere. That's what this movie has, is a lot of good suspense.
Yeah.
A lot of out of nowhere moments.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, boom. And then like,
wait till you hear my number 2, man.
yeah, but you know what pisses me off though about that part though? It's the whole the female Dr. McAllister, and she's so deep into her research and stuff because like I think her mother got Alzheimer's or something, and it like really affects her. So she's really like deep in the research and like we're gonna find out what's how to do this and how to do that. And the main guy Thomas, he like grabs like an emergency shotgun or something, and he's gonna go kill the shark.
Yeah.
And she's like no, and
Yeah,
then
and
hits
she,
like an
like,
eject
saves it.
button. And then the shark just falls into the water.
Yeah.
And now this like insanely smart shark is like
Free.
loose. It's free.
Yeah.
Because she's an idiot throughout this entire movie.
Yep.
I never thought that the first time I saw it, but watching it again recently, I was like, dude, you kind of ruined everything.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's my number 3. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is the scene where Scoggins, played by Mike Rappaport, gets ripped apart, man. When him and Thomas Jane like go underwater and they like swim.
No.
Yeah. They swim down.
Oh, wait. You said Scoggins?
Yeah,
I thought
Scoggins.
you said Scarsdale. No. What's that dude's name?
Stellan Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. I thought that's who you were talking about.
No.
Sorry.
I'm
Sorry,
talking
my
about.
bad. I got the names mixed up.
No problem. I'm talking about Mike Rappaport. He was in Friends.
Yeah,
Remember?
Mike the cop.
Yeah, the cop. But anyway, when his character and Thomas Jane are swimming down into that big room, and they're like trying to get something, I forget what it is, and they get it, and it's like a moment of like, oh, they got it, and Thomas Jane like motions to him like behind you, and like it shows Mike Rappaport, and he like turns around, and then all it just out of the blue, a shark just like just
swims,
bites
yeah.
him, dude, and just
kills
like
him.
chews him up, just like bites him into pieces. I was just like, oh my God, dude, this movie's brutal, hella graphic. I've never seen a shark movie like this.
Insanely graphic. Yeah, I love that though.
I love that.
That was gonna
scene.
be one of mine, but I got 2 others to fill the void. My number 2 is that whole scene where LL Cool J, that whole scene where he's getting attacked in his like restaurant, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
or what's it called? Like his kitchen. Yeah, his kitchen.
Yeah.
Right, and he's like in there with his parrot, remember? And he's
Yeah.
like trying to get some stuff, and I think he's holding his crucifix around his neck.
Yeah.
And he's all wet, and he's like on his bald head. You see all the beads of water, and he's like, "Oh man!" And he's like filming himself, and he's doing all this stuff, and he's walking through the water, and all of a sudden you see one of the doors, the swinging doors, like slowly open.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, dude, the shark is in there! The shark is in there, dude!" And then he's freaking. Then the bird gets eaten. Remember?
Yeah.
The shark jumps up and eats
In
the
like
shark.
slow motion. The
Yeah, it
bird
looks
is like,
awesome.
dude, no.
He's like, "Meow, probably wanna not be eaten by a shark."
I wonder what the shark thought when he like got a mouthful of feathers and bird. He was probably like, "Oh my god, what is this?" You know what I mean?
He's like, "I asked for boneless, skinless chicken breast. This clearly has bones."
But yeah, continue. Sorry.
And no, and then the whole thing where LL Cool J he gets himself in the oven. You remember?
Yeah.
And and the shark is ramming it.
Yeah,
and his
I
nose
love that
is poking
scene.
through, and he's like, "Yeah,
For some reason, he's got a hatchet to where he can like
yeah." I love that scene. I thought it was like super suspenseful.
and creative.
And yeah, but the part that I love the most about that is it's so simple when the door swings open a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know that the shark is like gliding his way through
Yep.
the water, and you're like, "Oh crap." That from that point on, you're like on the edge. Like, what's about to happen?
Yep.
I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number one?
My number one is the end when Dr. McAllister gets ripped apart by the biggest shark in the movie.
Hold on. Your number one for This Is the End is the end. Your number one for The Shallows is the end. Your number one for Deep Blue Sea is the end. I'm starting to think you just like the endings.
I love the endings.
So it must really piss you off royally when endings suck.
Yeah, it does.
Huh.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hate it when movies have bad endings, especially if I go pay to see it in theaters. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But this is not the direct ending. This is just a part of the ending. Because like you said just a few minutes ago, Dr. McAllister F's everything up. Like she lets that shark go. And this is all her fault. You know what I mean? All these people that died. And just all this mayhem and destruction and these freaking sharks are just her fault. And she tries to be like a hero, like a heroine, and she cuts her hand and she's like, "Come to mama," and she like jumps into the water, and then she tries to like when the shark smells her blood, swims over, and she tries to climb up the ladder.
Swims backwards, mind you.
Yeah,
Great white sharks don't swim backwards.
Well, this one does.
Well, because it got smart.
And it's not a great white, maybe. No, I don't know. But yeah, because it got smart, and so it swims backwards, turns around, flips a bitch, and then it and then it swims back over to her, and she tries to climb up that ladder, and the first rung on the ladder breaks. Remember, in the water, and you're just like, "Oh my god, yeah. What is she gonna do now?" And the answer is nothing. And she like sinks below the water, and it shows an underwater view. It shows the shark and this shark, dude, is the scary. At the time when I saw it, the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Like this thing stops like right by her and is just looking at her. And she's just like floating underwater, like, what the hell am I gonna do now? I'm about to get eaten by this thing. And like the shark is smart enough to like wait for Tom Jane, because Tom Jane's gonna like go rescue her because he's like the hero. So he like dives into the water, and that's what the shark wants. The shark is like waits for a second for Tom Jane to dive into the water, and as soon as Tom Jane hits the water, the shark just rips her to pieces.
Is that what he was doing?
Yeah, and it's hella.
I missed that.
It's so brutal, dude. Like, oh my gosh. And you're just like, oh my god. Like, even though this is all her fault, it kind of seemed like she was the main character. I did not expect her to get ripped apart. You know what I mean?
I didn't expect her to die either.
And I was just like, holy shit. I have no idea who's going to make it. Like, now, you know what I mean? This movie's not predictable.
Yeah.
And, dude, I thought that was really, really cool that they did that. They make you think that she's like a main character, that she's not going to die, and then she just gets brutally ripped apart and eaten, just right there, right in your face, and you're just like, oh my god, that was nuts.
And there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, to me, that was when I think of Deep Blue Sea, this is the scene I think of.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
my number one. That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
That's awesome. I love that scene, but it irritates me too, because you don't want her to die, and you're kind of like, why wouldn't you just like stick your hand in why don't you cut your hand and just let it drip into the water?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Before you share your number one, I want to elaborate a little bit further. But Tom Jane in this movie, if you remember correctly, he's a shark trainer, and he's got that like signature dodge move.
Yeah.
When like a shark tries to like bank and like kill him and like eat him, he can like dodge and like flip over the back of the shark and like grab onto it. Yeah. And he does that at the end. Like, remember, he dives into the water, the shark rips her apart and like eats her, and then then the shark swims over to him, and it shows him underwater, and he's just like, come on, like, bring it. You know what I mean? Like, I got you. You're just a fucking shark. And the shark just like goes for it, and he like dodges it and flips over, and you're just like, oh yeah, dude. And it's just like so awesome. It's like
like what you've mentioned in previous episodes. You said, I like when the hero is a hero.
Yeah, I like the crowd pleaser moments like that. And it's just like super awesome. And I was just like, yeah, like that just was such an awesome scene. And he makes it, and he doesn't get killed, and he flips over, even though the shark is like a genius shark, like. He's got skills, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I really liked that. They were like, let's give this character in the movie, let's give him some kind of signature shark dodge move that he can perform, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the end, that's how he overcomes it.
Yeah,
awesome.
Super awesome. All right, so what's your number one?
My number one might sound kind of surprising. Like, why would this be a number one out of everything in this movie? But my number one is the facility is going down, and it's going down fast.
Yep.
It's filling up. Every compartment's filling up with water. And by the end of it, it's Dr. McAllister, it's Thomas Jane, and it's LL Cool J. Those are the three like survivors so far, right? And they're like, we got to get out of this. We got to make it to the top of the water, but we're like so low right now, we're gonna die, And the shark is just gonna eat us. And so they're like, how are we gonna get up? And they come up with this plan where they're gonna like take fire extinguishers and like life jackets.
Yeah.
And they're gonna distract the shark by letting off like the fire extinguisher or something. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And it's going to like shoot up to the top and spray like its stuff and distract the shark, which it does.
Yeah.
And then they're going to make their way to the top of the shore.
Yeah, and just take a chance. Like it's the best they got.
Yeah, and they have to just hold their breath at like a certain point. Like, ready? 1, 2, 3. And then boom. Like they have to like try and go as fast as they can. That's not the part I'm talking about. But it's that moment, because the part that I like the most, which is my number one, is when they're all holding hands. And remember, he's like a preacher.
Yeah.
And they're all holding hands.
The valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah, and he's kind of like rapping it because he's LL Cool J.
Like,
as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And then like Thomas Jane's all,
I'm sure.
And she's all, wicka, 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 yeah. And the shark comes up, he's all, solo. No.
Thomas Jane's all. Dude, that was funny. I can't even like, All right, so what are you really talking about?
No, I'm really talking about that moment, though, where they're holding hands, and it's just kind of like a...
I'm sorry. That was hella funny.
I'm talking about when they're holding hands and he's praying, and, I really like that moment because, as I even said in our Signs episode, I really like that part where the newscaster is like, God be with us all, blah, blah, blah. Because it's kind of like we know we're doomed type thing.
Yep.
And we just have one strand of hope. And it's kind of the same concept in this movie. They're like, we're about to die, and we have one plan that's not even a foolproof plan. It's just kind of like, got to do what we got to do to try and survive. And they're like praying, and the water's rising, and there's like lights for some reason, like, psh, 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 like, it's like lightning looking kind of,
Yep.
And it's kind of, the water's just rising and rising, and they're holding hands, and they're like praying, and they're like all, like a group effort praying, and like they're like ready. It's kind of like Titanic, that when the boat's going down, and he's like, when I say go, like breathe, and it's like, oh my God. And then when she holds her breath, you're like, and you're like holding your breath kind of too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that same thing. That's how I felt about my number one in Deep Blue Sea. Is I really like that moment. It's intense. It like lights up the moment to where right before they're about to get shot up to the top, like you're like, oh crap, and you're like in it with them. You feel like you're kind of like you're starting to lose your breath because you're like holding it for them.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. That's my number one.
Dude, I completely agree with that. That's an awesome pick. Yeah, that was a really intense scene. I totally agree with you.
I really like that. It's not like the scene that when like your scene is, you remember when Doctor jumps into the water and gets eaten by the shark.
Yeah.
When I think of Deep Blue Sea, I remember my number 3, where the shark bites the dude's arm off.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine, or the Samuel L. Jackson is what I imagine when I think about Deep Blue Sea. But my number one truly is that part where they're like praying. I'm like, I love that part because you can hear the desperation, but like the hope that they have, and they're like, we're just gonna do this. Like we're not gonna quiver. We're not gonna fall. We're gonna rise and we're gonna beat this. And that's kind of like the same thing.
And they even they all go. He's like, "Can I get an amen?"
And they're like, "Amen."
And they're like,
"Amen,
"Amen,
amen."
amen." Yeah, and they just keep saying
and
it.
they're like building off of each other. Like, here we go, boom, and then they get to the top, and it's like, yeah, and
Yep.
yeah,
And then LL Cool J gets attacked, and you're just like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah, but then he's like stabbing in the eye with his cross.
Yeah, and then he gets free.
Yeah, and then he shoots Thomas Jane in the leg with a harpoon. He's like, sorry.
Yeah. And then he raps a really shitty song like during the end credits. But anyway,
that he wrote.
Yeah,
that's him. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the ratings. So,
Okay.
What did you give this movie?
I'm gonna go with a personal 3.5.
Okay.
I think it's I thought it's better than The Shallows, in my opinion. And I'm gonna compare them side to side because they're both shark movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 3.5 because the suspense, the scenes were really creative and awesome. It wasn't just every time someone's in the water, now they're pulled under and red blood comes up.
Yep.
It's like very creative ways on how to kill off the cast.
Yeah.
And I like that. I appreciate creativity.
Totally.
So I give it a 3.5. I'm not going to give it a 4 or 4.5 because it's the sharks. They don't look that real.
Yeah.
Like even though they're insanely like terrifying looking, they don't really normally look like that in real life. I'm a huge fan of great whites. I follow like 2 different great white accounts on my Instagram, and like I'm about to go get a great white tattoo within the next year or 2.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's the rating I give it. It's not the best, not the worst. Definitely seen a lot of worse, like Shark Night.
Yeah, for
Horrible. Yeah. A lot of bad shark movies, and these ones were good. So I definitely give it a 3.5.
sure. All right. Fair
What about
enough.
you?
I would give it the same. I'd give it a 3.5. I'd give it the same as The Shallows for the same reason. For the same reason that I gave The Shallows. It's just really entertaining. I've seen it several times because I liked it so much. I still like it to this day. I think I saw it within the last couple of years, and it's still really good.
It is.
Like everything you just said is pretty much exactly the same as me. It's dated. The sharks don't look that real, which is why I'm not giving it a 4 and a 4.5.
Right.
But still, you know what I mean? It's really intense. The movie's good. The story's good. I like the actors.
And who didn't love that part where the doctor gets out of her wetsuit?
Oh, yeah, and she strips a little bit.
And
yeah.
you're like, oh, dang, I'm 9 and you're 12. And we're like,
yeah,
what is that going on down there?
Sitting next to my mom.
pants.
Sitting next to my mom. I'm 12 years old in the theater, like, oh, this is a little awkward, but she's probably about to get eaten anyway, so it's all right. But yeah, anyway, the same thing, dude. 3.5. I just really liked it, and I would definitely watch it again. So
Cool, man. I'm happy that we chose to do shark movies.
for sure, and this is not the end. We will do more shark movies.
Eventually, we'll have to do Jaws. I think we'll do that on
Yeah.
a Steven Spielberg day or something like that.
I'm hoping that someday in the future, maybe years from now, hopefully, I don't know, not hopefully, I don't know why I said that. Hopefully not years from now, then when they announce that they're remaking Jaws.
Yeah, I hope they take whoever did the CGI for not Shark Night, The Shallows,
Yeah.
and make that towards Jaws. It'll be a perfect movie, guaranteed. Unless they get some teeny boppers who are like, let's party on a boat.
Not that we have any news about that. We don't have any idea if they're going to remake Jaws. I've just always hoped that they will. And yeah, I think that we should do Jaws when that time comes.
Absolutely. And speaking of having any news on movies, let's get into our movie news.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I actually don't have anything super interesting to talk about. I have Transformers: The Last Night. And I want to,
Another one?
Yeah. See, you're having the same reaction that I kind of did, because the last one was not good, honestly, in my opinion. It was just nah. And the first one, let me real quick just go through this. The first one I thought was great. The second one I thought was hella bad. I thought the third one was really good. I thought the fourth one was okay. But this one, I just saw the trailer. It looks really good, dude. It looks awesome.
Is Mark Wahlberg in it again?
Yes.
Okay, so that same cast, not Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. But I think Michael Bay is kind of like, okay, I know what I did wrong with the last one. I think I know what people want, and dude, it looks really cool. And
Good.
It's called The Last Night. And I'm not positive on this, but I think Optimus Prime is bad in this one.
Ooh.
And he looks like a vicious beast, bro.
That's interesting.
watch the trailer. It's called Transformers: The Last Night. So that's my movie news. What is yours?
Mine is The Mummy. Heard of it?
Oh yeah, dude, that's
Tom
so
Cruise.
funny. I almost picked The Mummy too, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't even heard about it until today.
Yeah.
Because I was searching through. I was on my lunch break at work, and I was searching through YouTube and stuff, and I came across The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and I was like, "What is this
Yeah.
going to be like another? Is this going to be like another from the Brendan Fraser The Mummy series?
It's a reboot.
It's a reboot of The
Yeah.
Mummy, because that's not what I got out of it.
Yeah, it's a reboot of The Mummy.
Oh, okay. Well, reboot or regardless, this movie looks tight. It looks
Yeah.
sick, dude. And from what it shows in the trailers, they're like in a plane, and
Yeah.
the plane is like going down. Something happens because they have like the mummy tomb in the plane with them.
And they're like flying all around.
Yeah, and they're flying all around, and Tom Cruise like pulls the ripcord on this girl's parachute, and she flies out of the side of the plane, but he's going down, and everybody crashes and they die. But for some reason, Tom Cruise, like, he's in a body bag in the morgue. And he and he like gets up and he's like, like
Yeah.
he's like alive for I didn't I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
how.
no explanation. Yeah.
They will explain it, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but in the trailer they didn't. So it's like that's intriguing.
Yeah.
And then it shows like there's like a mummy that comes to life or something, and it just looks freaking awesome. And it comes out this summer, I believe.
Yeah. I
And-
can't wait to see that one too.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see that. It looks cool. Tom Cruise looks good, dude.
He's
in that movie.
he's like my dad's age.
He's like in his 50s.
Yeah, he
and
looks
he's
really
like
good.
buff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I wish I could look like that.
And honestly, I know that a lot of people don't like Tom Cruise, but I've always liked Tom Cruise.
Well, he's weird for
I,
a Scientology thing.
I don't care about that. I'm talking about his acting,
Yeah,
his
his
movies.
acting's cool.
You know, I love his Mission Impossible movies.
War of the
I love,
Worlds.
Yeah, dude. I like his movies. He's
Yeah.
a good actor. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's like a great actor per se, but he's definitely
Last
not
Samurai,
bad.
dude?
Dude, Edge of Tomorrow.
The Last Samurai.
Did you see Edge of Tomorrow? Oh, The Last Samurai?
Yeah.
Dude, his acting is great. Like in those movies at least, I really like his stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited about it too.
Yeah. Okay, well, that wraps up our movie news. Next week, we are going to do Star Wars. We're going to have a Star Wars episode, and we're going to talk about Star Wars 1 through
7.
7.
Yep.
1 through 7. We're just going to do a collective piece. I don't know if we're going to do any top 5s or anything, but just a collective piece of 1 through 7 and talk about what we hope to see in Rogue One,
Yeah.
what we think is going to happen.
We're going to put a little bit of emphasis on episodes 3 and 4 because Rogue One takes place in between those, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Next week, we're trying to do it next week because it's the week before Rogue One comes out, but I don't know how successful we're going to be at being able to see Rogue One like opening weekend.
Yeah, we're going to try.
But we're going to try. So,
Although, honestly, I was so nerve-wrackingly freaking scared that I was not going to be able to see episode 7 when it came out, and I was able to see it opening night.
oh, really?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah. And I didn't have a problem getting a ticket at all because the theaters are not stupid. They know that they're going to make so much money off a Star Wars movie, and it's not going to be any different with Rogue One. There's going to be plenty of showings, plenty of tickets to be bought. You know
And
what I
we
mean?
shall go see it.
Oh, we will.
And then we will do an episode on that as soon as we see that. But next
Yes.
week, going to talk about Star Wars episode 1 through 7. Very excited to do that.
And
I'm not like an insane like Star Wars buff, but I definitely have seen all of them. I appreciate all of them for the time and what they are.
I
And-
am an insane Star Wars.
Yeah, so you're going to get the best of both worlds on next week's episode. Let's
gonna
get into our contact information.
Yes. All right. So to get a hold of me, you can email me on my Gmail account. My email is beingscared86@gmail.com. You can look me up on my YouTube channel, which I really hope that you do. My preferred method of getting a hold of me. It's called Being Scared on YouTube, where I narrate scary stories, both true and fiction. Please check it out. I'd appreciate it. You can also look me up on Twitter @beingscared86. Follow me on there. I would really love that. And you can also look me up as of very recently. I just signed up on Instagram as well. You can look me up being_scared. Being Scared. And that's me. I hope to hear from you guys.
You can email me, Greg, at moviemen@yahoo.com. You can find me on Twitter at moviemen_. Same thing goes for Instagram, moviemen_. You can also find our podcast on YouTube. You just have to search Greg and Mr. B podcast, and it'll be right there. I'd love if you could subscribe to that. And also, please, I want to say this to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for everybody who's been downloading.
Thank you.
Our downloads have just quadrupled in the last 2 weeks, and it's amazing. So thank you so much. Obviously, we're doing something right. We're entertaining you guys. You care about the things that we have to say. So we're going to try and just be ourselves and do the best we can for you guys. So thank you so much. But I would really greatly ask, if you're on iTunes, if you can please go leave a 5-star rating and just a review of what you think about the show, good or bad, just whatever.
And even if you have some criticisms, we
let us
want to know, you know?
For sure, yeah, please. And so please go subscribe, tell your friends, just get the word out there, man. We're a Podern family. That's what we are. So hashtag
family.
that, son. Got anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's it. This is Mr. B signing off.
And have a good week, everybody.